Hey, what is up? It's Odin, your friendly neighborhood Odin here, drawing on this Easter Sunday. I am working on a drawing for Mr. Gabe Eltaeb. Has a comic book coming out called Truth, Justice, American Way, and had a little fan art contest going, so figured I'd throw my shit out there, you know, for no other reason than to just have a really cool guy like Gabe say, "Here's one by Odin Dasco" and all that shit. So honestly, I still have to back this campaign that he has going for Truth, Justice, American Way. I think conceptually, it's not up my alley, but I've seen Gabe on live streams and on his own channel, and seems like a very cool, genuine guy, the type that I would get along with pretty well. And he's also a Broncos fan, which is always a plus. So, and a comic book artist, a great colorist, and creator now, and yeah. So I wish him all the best, and I want to support him. But also, I'm just gonna draw this picture of the character. I believe this is Justice, if I had to guess, because I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure. I think the girl is Truth. This is Justice, and then the big kind of Colossus looking guy is getting looks like steel skin would be American Way. But of all the characters, this one seemed the most intriguing, mainly because, as he pointed out in his book, that he's got the Police Billy Club, and on that is written Hard Way, and then on his handgun is written Easy Way, which I thought was, whoever came up with that idea was cool. That is like just a cool concept. Hard Way or Easy Way, it reminds me of, what was it, Rain of Fire with Matthew McConaughey and Christian Bale. But Matthew McConaughey comes in with all his guys, and they come to their camp, and he's like, "We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the real easy way." I always thought that was pretty badass. So anyway, I'll be drawing on this. When I draw this character, he reminds me of one of the police guys from Fifth Element for whatever reason. They kind of had these big riot armor looking costumes, and that's kind of what my version, at least, reminds me of. So yeah, I'm excited for to back the campaign. Like I said, I still gotta go do it, which I will, but it doesn't seem totally up my alley, but it seems like it would be fun. Seems like there's a statement to be made in it, but which I'm not always the hugest fan of, but like I said, he seemed cool as shit, so I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna get it. For Gabe, I'll get it. No, like I said, he seems totally legit, genuine, and cool, so, and I'm all about that. Just had my daughters, and they went home. So I'm back at the house alone, which is always, it's always weird when I live alone most of the time, and then I get my daughters, and everything's like quiet, undisturbed, everything's clean and quiet, and then my girls come over, and where there's people, there's mess. So there's a proverb in the Bible. It says, where there's no ox, the stalls stay clean, but there's much increase from the strength of the ox. The general idea of that proverb is that, yeah, life is clean and easy when you don't have to deal with other people. But in order to be productive and a part of this world, you have to deal with people. And so you buy a shovel and you take care of it. But I always like that proverb because it's like, yeah, where there's people, there's shit. You know? If you're going to have people around, you're going to have shit around and you're going to have to deal with it. That's part of life. But the second side of that is that it's worth it. It's worth it to go through the shit with people. That said, I love my daughters. I love having them here. But when they're here, all that stillness and all that cleanness, I mean, it just goes out the window. And it's just so much more energy and excitement and commotion. And then this has happened since I moved out on my own after their mom and I got a divorce. It just sucks coming back home because it's so quiet. You know, so I settle into the quiet just in time for them to come back over, and they get all crazy again, and then they're gone, and it's like instant. And it's like, where'd all the noise go? Where'd all the energy go? And it was really rough for me at first. I remember I used to always go do karaoke on Sunday nights for that very reason, was that I just couldn't handle the stillness and coming back to my house with nothing and quiet. Now I've gotten a little more used to it. It still sucks and I still don't like it, but I'm more used to it, so I don't get kind of mopey and depressed because I miss my daughters and they're gone. So in a previous video, I kind of explained my style, that it's pretty free and I just kind of wing it when I'm inking. Like, I draw with my inks. And so there's like a light pencil that was under this just to give me some structure, but then when I go in with inks, it's pretty free. It just goes. And I also mentioned in that video, like, I was kind of pining for, like, the crisp, clean ink lines of other people. And why can't I get my lines like that? I know why. It's not just patience, but that's a big part of it. But it's also tools. So I use this. You can see Fudenosuke. It's a very hard tipped brush. It's a brush pen, but it's hard tip. And I draw with that more than anything. And then I take a brush pen, which is a Pentel Pocket Pen. This one came in this cool, like, I don't know if you can see that. You can't see it, but it was like, it looks like a reddish wood instead of just a black. I have a black one too, but this is a normal brush pen, you know, with replaceable ink cartridges. And because I'm not so capable with like a pen, I'll use it for a lot of things, but I generally use it just to color in blacks. And yeah, I don't know if that's proper. I think some people do that, but I don't know what other people do. Trying to think what I did with the girls. We went to the museum here in Spokane. They had a DreamWorks exhibit. Spokane this museum is really small. I mean, it's not a big city, so we don't have like when I lived in Colorado, we'd go to Denver. They changed the name of it, but when I was a kid, it was the Denver Museum of Natural History. And that is a big museum, and it's really awesome. But Spokane's is tiny. But they had this DreamWorks exhibit, and kind of the main focus of the exhibit was a lot of the concept art that was used for the movies, and I thought that was pretty cool to see the Shrek concept art and the How to Train Your Dragon, How to Train Your Viking, I like that, How to Train Your Dragon concept art. I mean, all kinds of DreamWorks movies, and it was really like based around the concept art, which was really cool. So I had a good time with that. And then my buddy was working security at the mall or the museum, and he was in an area where a lot of there's some native Spokane tribe, native Americans that were building canoes, kind of like with a lot of older tools. I mean, they use some modern ones too, but kind of in their old school way, building these canoes. And that was really cool. And he was kind of working the door between the museum and the canoe building. And so went and hung out with him and watched them work on that. That was really cool too. That was kind of the exciting thing we did. Had a big dinner together out at a restaurant, and that was fun. We ended up... What did we watch? Oh, we watched Tombstone together. So my girl, I watched it with her when they were young. I think I just had it on, and they were in the room. And I'm like, have you guys seen this? Like, no. And then we start watching it. They're like, yeah, I kind of remember this, but... I'm sitting there like every time I'm like, this is a badass scene. Just watch. Shh, quiet, watch this. You know, just being a homer about Tombstone. But I there's things about that movie that are great, and there's things that are, they're kind of 90s, and it is what it is. But I'll always love Kurt Russell. And I'll never say that he's like this amazing actor, but he is a good actor. But what he does is just play these really cool, badass kind of characters really well. And, there's some delivery of some of the parts. And Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday was great. Everybody loves that, of course. But there was some delivery... It was quoted in the movie Mallrats, and that's probably also why I love it so much. But when the cowboys think they got away with everything, and they're, Wyatt Earp, Kurt Russell's character, he's leaving town, and they're like, well, that's it. Get the hell out, and they leave town. And they go, well, just follow him and kill him. But it was a trap, and Kurt Russell, Wyatt Earp, is waiting for him, and he just starts killing him, and that's when, like, the tide turns. He's like, but the line, the one that's in Mallrats, is, you called down the thunder, well, now you got it. And it's such a great line, and great delivery. Good old Jack Burton never fails. And we watched some Red Dwarf, which people who know me know that is a huge thing in this household. Legion, the episode Legion, which is one of my favorite all-time episodes for sure. So the premise is, if you've never watched Red Dwarf, you really should. Everybody should. It's really like one of the greatest shows of all time. But they end up meeting this alien. He's not an alien. He's a created being, a gestalt entity, as they say. Who is like a conglomeration of all these geniuses. They created him almost like artificial reality, and they put all their genius into him, and he was his own creation. Well, as they died, because he was actually part of them, he basically died with them. And the Red Dwarf crew shows up and finds him, and all of a sudden he's revived because of their presence. So, the whole thing is they've got to get away from this guy, but he doesn't want them to leave because he only exists because they exist in his presence. The show is great, and it, without knowing the characters, you know, it's hard for me to tell you why it's so damn funny. But there is one gag that I think is worth all of it. And that's, they're on their ship, they encounter the alien, and Rimmer, who's kind of, he's a real, he wants to be in charge, but he's such a fucking loser. He sucks at everything, and he has all this resentment, but he really wishes he could be like amazing and in charge. So he kind of tries to play leader all the time with this crew, and it's only a couple people. Like I said, you got to watch the show. It's hard for me to explain the whole damn thing, but they encounter the alien life force, and it's like kind of getting a little more exciting, and they're on alert a little bit. And Lister says, or Rimmer, the guy I was just describing, he tells the android, he says, "Go to blue alert." And then one of the other guys, Lister, who's kind of like the exact opposite of Rimmer, he goes, "Why? We're all here. We're all on alert. Why do you need to, like, say blue alert?" And he goes, "I just want everyone to know to be on their guard because they're aware that it's a blue alert situation." He's like, "We all are aware. We're all on our toes. Like, what is your..." He says, "Just do it." So then he turns it, and this little flashing thing says blue alert, blue alert, blue alert, and it's in blue. Anyway, later they get a little further, and he's like, "Oh, now it's a little further." He's like, "Step up to red alert." And the android turns to him and he goes, "Sir, are you absolutely sure? It does require changing the light bulb." It's a simple gag. Gets me every time. Anyway, you know, I don't have much else to talk about. I'm just working on this. There's some wet ink, so I'm kind of letting that dry before I dive it, because I've already smudged a bunch. And I hate when I do that, and I do it more often than I'd like to admit. But it's turned out all right. I mean, it'll be cool. The background, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the background. It looks like you'd be on a rooftop or something. But, and then also it's like under this camera, the black, you can see it gets all shiny and stuff. But maybe if I hold it up to the other camera, it might work a little better. Or from afar. We'll get the idea. See, as I look at it this way, I can see things that I wouldn't normally see. I'm like, oh, interesting. Things I like, things I don't. Oh, underneath you can see what I keep in my drawer. Slain. Bisley was such a beast. This is another one of those books. Like I went through I showed you guys that I got the monster book. Slain. I mean, it's all painted. That's what's amazing. Simon Bisley is a beast. And from what I hear, he's just a beast anyway, but like as an artist. And this one might be close to, it's 200. So almost 200. 193 pages for this whole sling. But I'm Simon Bisley. I did a video a while back where I talked about he was the one. He was the game changer in his Lobo's Back run that made me really want to become an artist. And then he did similar to this. I mean, not similar in concept, but where it was all painted. He did Batman versus Judge Dredd, which was really fucking cool. And the story itself was fun, but it was really Bisley's artwork that made it for sure. So, but I keep that here just to remind me that I'm nowhere near where I want to be. But again, as I talked about influences and inspiration, like Simon Bisley's an inspiration more than he is an influence. I don't think I took a lot stylistically from him. And what's funny is the older I get, the more I take stylistically from older artists. So another book I keep right here at all times is this one. And speaking of older artists that I take a lot from, or I'm trying to at least, is John Buscema, who I think the older I get, the more I appreciate his approach. And some of his stuff, especially when he did on Savage Sword of Conan, I thought was almost second to none. It's just, he was a master in his own right, but he was also this company man for Marvel, and he didn't like being, from what I hear, and I don't know where I heard this, so maybe I'm wrong, but I thought I heard that he didn't like the term comic book artist, and when you asked him, he would say he was a cartoonist. Again, almost like playing it down, like, I'm just making comic books, like, I'm not an artist, this is my job. So he seemed very structured, or at least he didn't have any delusions about what he was doing. So he just went, I'm a cartoonist, that's what I do. But when he say that, like, if you look at his expressions and his gestures, drawing, like the dynamic poses and the storytelling, it was really good for that, and he didn't feel that he had to throw in like I'm always adding way too much detail, and it's something I want to start working on, is pulling that back and just letting the form be enough and not like over detail, because I'll look at something that's form and it's just, I want to add more shadow. I want to add, just more detail. And sometimes you just drown yourself in it. And it's fun to draw, and it's maybe more exciting, but sometimes it muddies the water and is unnecessary. So I want to find some kind of happy balance. I think there's some really awesome artists that have gone so many directions that they have found that balance. So I want to get there, but in the meantime, I'm still just, always finding my own style. I know it doesn't look like other artists, which is something I want to always have. I know when I was a vocalist, that was something that I held on to dearly. But, it was very important for me not to have somebody say, oh, you sound like this. Like, they're going to do that anyway, but to know that my style was my style, and that nobody could at least say that I was ripping somebody off. And I never wanted to be like considered a clone of somebody. I always wanted it to be mine and distinct. And even if that means it sucks a little bit to like give it that distinctness, so be it. it's better than being a clone and ripping somebody off or like taking too much from their style or whatever. So anyway, that's all I gotta say. At this point, I'm gonna wrap this video up. Probably have a little snack before I go to bed. Yeah, I just figured I may want to give a little preview of Justice from Truth, Justice, American Way from Gabe Eltaeb. And like I said, he seems super cool, and even if conceptually it doesn't seem like something that would be like totally me, like this character did, I think it's because he kind of has this like RoboCop kind of feel to him, you know, or something. Not RoboCop, but that style, you know, like that world in that kind of vein. So all that to say, I am going to get on it and go back that campaign, but I just haven't done it yet. Partially because for a while I was had to tighten my belt quite a bit. So, but that said, I always want to support good people. He seems like good people, and while I'm on Indiegogo, I'm going to check around and find some other cool stuff that I want to back to. So, anyway, this is Odin. I hope you all are doing awesome. I hope this week is awesome for you. And with that, y'all have a great, wonderful evening.